Chadwick Boseman's will was just revealed. What's in it will make you cry. Chadwick Boseman made $1.3 billion for Marvel as Black Panther. He earned millions from his films. But when he died at just 43, his family discovered something heartbreaking. Court papers show he never wrote a will. His wife Taylor had to fight in court for months. His parents got involved. Lawyers took huge chunks of his money. The man who gave the world Wakanda couldn't protect his own family. What should have been simple became a nightmare that lasted years. Chadwick Boseman was born on November 29, 1976, in Anderson, South Carolina. He was the youngest of 3 children raised by Carolyn, a nurse, and Leroy, who started in a textile factory but later ran an upholstery business from their home. Leroy worked long hours repairing furniture just to keep food on the table. That work ethic soaked into Chadwick early. Even as a child, he understood that nothing would be handed to him. Their home was small and modest, but filled with the kind of strength that came from scraping through hard years together. One afternoon when he was very young, Chadwick watched his father build a wooden playhouse in the yard. Scrap wood, hammer, sweat. It lit something inside him. He wanted to build things too. For a while, he dreamed of becoming an architect. He would draw imaginary cities and sketch homes that looked like dreams. He saw the world in shapes and layers. He studied the way furniture held together, how his dad stretched leather over foam, how every crease had intention. That design mindset never left him. Even when he chose acting, he still thought like a builder. Every character had to be shaped with care. Every emotion had to fit just right. At 5, he started martial arts, karate, and taekwondo. His parents thought the structure might do him good. And it did. The kicks, the bowing, the drills, all of it taught him control. He learned discipline in that little dojo tucked in Anderson. The same muscles that once bent into horse stance would later leap across rooftops in movies. His movements had grace because they were forged in sweat from years ago. Black Panther didn't just happen on screen. It was a product of every sparring session, every bruise, every lesson in stillness. DNA tests later showed his ancestry reached across the Atlantic. Yola from Guinea-Bissau, Creole and Limba from Sierra Leone, Yoruba from Nigeria. He carried that truth with pride. It wasn't just for him. It was for the ancestors, the stories they never got to tell, the ones stolen by oceans and chains. He studied the languages. He learned the customs. He wanted T'Challa to speak not just for Wakanda, but for a continent that shaped him without even knowing him. Growing up in the 1980s South meant growing up inside the echo of the civil rights era. Anderson wasn't immune to racism. Chadwick saw it, felt it. Community events still felt divided. Conversations in his house circled around injustice. His parents didn't shield him from reality. They gave him the words to fight it. Later in life, those memories guided his choices. Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall. He didn't just play roles, he carried legacies. In high school at T.L. Hanna, he found power in speech. He joined the debate club and by 1995 placed 8th in the nation for original oratory. His speeches weren't dry debates. They were fire wrapped in logic. He talked about civil rights. He wove in his grandmother's stories of segregation. Judges didn't just listen, they leaned in. He won regional tournaments. Every sentence had a rhythm, like jazz dipped in justice. It was the beginning of a voice that would one day move millions. He also played point guard, fast, smart, tactical. But everything changed in 1993. A close teammate, just 16, was shot and killed in a drive-by. The school fell silent. Chadwick couldn't breathe through the grief. He walked away from basketball. He didn't lace up again. Instead, he turned to writing. He turned to theater. From that pain came his first play. It was called Crossroads. He was 17. It was staged in the school auditorium. It told a story about loss and healing. His classmates acted in it. His whole school watched it. And something changed. A wound turned into something beautiful. Art became how he survived. To apply to college, Chadwick needed money. He worked for his dad, restuffing car seats for $5 an hour. It was hard, repetitive, greasy work, but it paid for application fees. Every dollar earned went toward that next step. He wanted Howard University. And in 1995, he got in. Partial scholarship, $5,000 a year. It covered just 30% of tuition, but it was enough. The BFA directing program only accepted 12 students. He made the cut. He chose directing over acting because he wanted to shape stories, not just speak them. At Howard, he lived in rehearsals, sometimes 14 hours a week, late nights, small stages, big ideas. He didn't coast, he pushed, he questioned. He rewrote scenes until they broke open and told the truth. He juggled class with part-time jobs. He studied with hunger. Professors noticed. They said he had vision, not just talent, vision. In 1997, he interned at Woolly Mammoth Theater Company in D.C. He worked on August Wilson's Fences, set design, lighting. He watched how shadows spoke louder than lines. He stayed past midnight, adjusting stage lights, just to make one emotion land better. That internship taught him that visual language was its own form of poetry. He carried that with him into every film set that followed. In 1998, he flew to Oxford, the British-American Drama Academy. 6 weeks. Just 20 students were selected globally. He directed a short film there about the African diaspora. Budget was tight, under $500, but it moved people. It won Best Student Director. He used close-up shots and low lighting in ways other students didn't dare. Professors saw something rare. He wasn't just performing, he was creating emotion out of image. Back at Howard in 1999, he co-wrote a one-act play about post-civil rights identity called The Blacker the Berry. It was chosen for the Kennedy Center Festival. 50 judges watched it. Some cried. The play was built on real interviews, raw with generational conflict. It won Best Student Play. That year, something in him crystallized. Theater could carry truth. He didn't want fame, he wanted impact. In 2000, he won the Drama League Directing Fellowship. Only 3 students in the nation got it. His thesis project was Blood Over a Dirty Grave, a 20-minute short film shot with just $200 and borrowed equipment. It told the story of secrets inside a Southern black family. It premiered in New York to an audience of 200 industry insiders. People didn't just clap, they remembered him. The award came with a $15,000 grant. That grant funded his next steps. It gave him breathing room to keep going. He graduated that same year, with honors. But there was no soft landing. He was $30,000 in debt. He worked at a summer camp, teaching drama to kids between 8 and 14. Nearly 30 hours a week. At night, he auditioned. He took buses to New York just to stand in line for callbacks. Rent and food cost $200 a month. And sometimes he had to choose between the two. He kept going. The world didn't know his name yet, but he was building something again. In 2000, Chadwick Boseman showed up in New York with almost nothing. Just a suitcase, a few scripts, and that look in his eye like he wasn't leaving without getting noticed. At the National Black Theater Festival, he got his shot. He wrote and directed a play called Deep Azure, set in the 1950s, pulling straight from the worn-out jazz corners of Harlem. It wasn't fiction. He stitched together real stories, real pain, real overdoses like Charlie Parker's in 1955. The kind of stuff people looked away from, the kind he leaned into. The play hit the stage in Winston-Salem and made critics pause. The language, the rhythm, the weight of it, it wasn't just performance, it was lived truth, scraped from interviews with old jazzmen and forgotten corners of Harlem. That single play turned whispers into conversations. It told the theater world that Boseman didn't show up to play safe. 2 years later, he directed a revival of The Spook Who Sat by the Door. It was 2002, and Harlem felt like the right place to stir things up. He didn't go after big venues or flashy theaters. He staged it in a local community center. The script was from Sam Greenlee's banned novel about a black man in the CIA plotting a revolution. Dangerous stuff. Boseman priced tickets at just $10 and brought in locals as extras, folding the community into the story. That raw, electric 12-show run landed him the Audelco Award. But more than the trophy, it left behind arguments, questions, discomfort. That's what he wanted. The theater didn't just light a stage, it lit a fire. And Boseman realized then what he could really do with storytelling. By 2005, Chicago called. He wrote Red and Hot, the mixtape, a story soaked in the struggle of hip-hop and hustle, played out at Steppenwolf Theater. It wasn't just a script, it was his life cut into scenes. The struggling musician, the hungry nights, the noise of the city drowning out talent. He spent 6 months writing it, pulled characters from people he'd met underground. It ran for 18 shows. Critics saw through the fiction. They knew this was personal. This was about trying, failing, and not stopping. The Jeff Award nomination came, but the real win was the way it landed. The way it said, again, that Boseman didn't follow formulas. He carved his own groove, and he carved it deep. Then came Heaven, a short film he directed on scraps, 15 minutes long, filmed in abandoned warehouses in Brooklyn, cast with neighbors and family. No fancy equipment, just $2,000, natural light, and pure guts. The story was about a soldier drowning in PTSD. Boseman's cousin played the lead. Every shot felt heavy. Every pause felt like memory. It won Best Short Film at a local Brooklyn festival. Not because it was glossy, because it was true. It showed what Boseman could do when nothing was handed to him. How he could pull something powerful out of almost nothing. But power doesn't stop pain. In 2007, everything started slipping. One rejection after another. Auditions went nowhere. Doors closed before he even knocked. The pressure built until it cracked. He nearly walked away from acting altogether. Instead, he went silent. Took an unpaid internship at the Apollo Theater. No applause, no spotlight. Just hours of watching, studying, absorbing. 6 months behind the scenes, learning how moments land, what makes an audience hold its breath. He worked backstage, swept floors, carried props. And slowly, that silence shaped something new. When he finally got cast in The Killers, it wasn't just a comeback. It was a reminder that some chapters only open after you've been broken. In 2008, he wrote Third World Cop. The script mixed police brutality with immigrant lives, drawn from what he saw growing up in a tight, tense neighborhood. The story followed a black cop split between duty and community. It won a regional playwriting contest. A production company optioned it. It got stuck, never produced. Creative differences, budget cuts. That old wall Hollywood keeps up. Boseman didn't stop. He just kept writing. He once said, "Getting optioned is just the first step. Getting produced is the real challenge." That script still sits somewhere, a quiet symbol of everything that almost was. That same year, he moved to Los Angeles, broke, focused, determined to find his place on screen. He landed a role on Lincoln Heights, playing Nathaniel Ray Taylor, a young Iraq war vet trapped in the aftermath. 10 episodes across 2 seasons. That was his entry into mainstream. It wasn't about fame, it was about range. Nate was broken, but not weak. Hurt, but still standing. The show didn't just tell family stories. It showed how war doesn't end when you leave the battlefield. Boseman made sure every word Nate spoke hit with purpose. In 2009, he stepped into Cold Case, played Derek, a suspect from the 90s. He had to master a Philly accent, learn the slang, drop into that world like he'd lived it. Interrogation scenes felt real because he'd put in the work, studied people, watched tapes, broke the character down until it made sense in his bones. The performance didn't go viral, but it stayed with people. And in a business where everyone wants to be remembered, that mattered more. Then came Lie to Me in 2010. 1 episode, 1 role, but he gave it all. Taylor Blake, a college athlete accused of cheating. Boseman trained like a sprinter to get the movement right. He didn't just act, he transformed. Learned how athletes breathe, how they carry stress in their shoulders. The show explored the science of lies. Boseman brought the truth, integrity, pressure, fear. He showed all of it in a single look. Same year, Persons Unknown came calling. A 13-episode psychological mystery. He played a sergeant losing his grip on faith. The script wrestled with trust, power, identity. Boseman didn't fake it. He pulled from old college debates, late-night talks about religion and race at Howard. His character cracked slowly, like someone trying to hold himself together in a place that made no sense. The show didn't last, but his work left a mark. It proved he could carry layers, that he wasn't here to play easy roles. Behind all this, money stayed tight. Even in LA, he lived off $200 a month from residuals, 50 auditions, 1 pilot for a cop show where he got cut right after chemistry reads. Over and over, almosts and maybes, rehearsals that went nowhere, roles that disappeared, but he stayed. Even when rent was late, even when pride hurt. That period burned away the ego and left only focus. He didn't chase fame, he chased the craft. In 2011, Justified offered a recurring role, a small-time criminal. Not a role he wanted to stay in, he got recast. So he wrote a spec script about a black detective, shopped it around, no takers, didn't matter. That rejection didn't kill the fire, it shifted it. Boseman kept pushing, kept imagining better stories, fuller characters, stronger voices. Chadwick Boseman didn't walk into the role of Jackie Robinson by chance. In 2012, while he was directing an off-Broadway play, he got the call. 25 other actors were chasing the same part. But Boseman picked one scene to audition with, the moment where Jackie breaks his bat in a rage. He didn't have a background in baseball, but he trained hard anyway. Real drills, real sweat. He showed up not just with lines, but with grit. The casting team watched him hit, run, move, and they saw something they couldn't unsee. He wasn't just acting, he was carrying something deeper. They believed he could bring Jackie's fire and silence to life. That audition changed everything for him. It was the start of a whole new chapter. Before shooting began, he sat down with Rachel Robinson. 3 hours, no cameras, just conversation. She told him how Jackie used to hide his fear, how he'd come home quiet, how that silence wasn't weakness, it was weight. That stayed with Chadwick. The way Jackie stared back at racism without a word. Those stares made it into the film, and they weren't scripted. They were built from that day with Rachel. She opened the door for him to understand who Jackie really was behind the myth, what he carried, what it cost him. To match Jackie's body, Boseman lost 15 pounds. He trained for 6 weeks with Alan Graff, a veteran stunt coordinator who didn't go easy. They ran bases like college players. They broke down every move until it looked natural. That's what they wanted. Not Hollywood perfect, but Robinson real. Every swing, every slide, every stolen base had to carry truth. And it showed on screen. When Jackie breaks the color barrier, it doesn't look choreographed. It looks lived in. Boseman didn't just wear the uniform. He earned it. One scene nearly broke him. The tunnel scene. It was 13 minutes long. They filmed it 35 times. Jackie's boiling point. Racist insults echoing. A bat cracking under pressure. Boseman didn't fake that anger. He pulled it from places he didn't talk about. Early rejections, industry walls, racism that dressed itself in polite smiles. He channeled all of that. The final take hit so hard that director Brian Helgeland said nothing afterward. He just nodded. That was it. It was real. That single shot carried the weight of a lifetime in one breathless burst. The film dropped in April 2013. It made $116 million around the world. It wasn't just a hit, it was a statement. Boseman didn't just get praise, he got noticed. He even improvised a gesture, a small prayer after rounding the bases, that hadn't been in the script. Turns out, Jackie used to do something similar. That unscripted moment stayed in the film. It felt honest. People remembered it. That role didn't just open doors, it kicked them down. Boseman had arrived. But after 42, the offers felt lazy. More athletes, more uniforms, more of the same. He said no, repeatedly. 6 months passed. No big roles, no big paychecks. He lived off savings in a tiny place in Studio City. Took random gigs to stay afloat. But he wouldn't sell out. He waited for something that mattered. That wait led to Marshall. It led to Wakanda. It led to something bigger than just movies. That waiting room became his proving ground. For Get On Up, Boseman didn't just play James Brown. He became him. 200 hours of footage, 5 days a week with a choreographer, 2 months of dancing. He even lost nearly 30 pounds again. No stunt double, no lip syncing. He did the splits himself. The screams, too. He stayed in character between takes. It started to blur. Crew members said it felt like James Brown was haunting the set. In one unscripted moment, he exploded into a confrontation about childhood abuse. The scene wasn't planned, but the tears were real. They kept it in. It was too raw to ignore. Then came Marshall, another transformation. He studied 500 pages of legal records, not just for the lines, but for the rhythm, the courtroom pulse, the timing, the sharp, cutting way Thurgood worked a jury. It wasn't just performance, it was strategy. He took himself back to 1941, when Marshall was still rising, before the Supreme Court, before the legacy. Just a man with a briefcase and something to prove. Boseman gave that man flesh and bone. By 2020, he took on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It was different this time. He was sick, quietly, privately. No one on set knew he was doing chemo. He shrunk down to 150 pounds. Still, he learned trumpet in secret for 3 months. No double. His fingers moved like a real player. When he shouted, when he broke down in monologues, it wasn't acting. He was pouring out what was left of him. George C. Wolfe said you could feel him peel away every mask. Every scene was soaked in something final, something heavy, like he was leaving a part of himself behind. In 21 Bridges, the risks got real. Boseman used real blanks in gun scenes. One round ricocheted, People ducked. No one got hurt, but the fear was real. He wanted night shoots on Harlem streets, wanted the shadows, wanted the noise. It wasn't safe, but it was real. He rehearsed gunplay until his hands went numb. He wasn't chasing cool, he was chasing truth. The film's tension wasn't all written. Some of it bled in from the nights themselves. And when a studio came to him in 2015 with a $10 million biopic deal, he walked away. Another musician role, another easy path, but he saw the trap. He said no. Instead, he co-wrote a thriller with Barry Jenkins, a story about Black artists in Europe. He wanted new stories, not safer ones. He told The Guardian he still wanted to direct, but first he had to build something honest. That refusal said everything. He didn't want to be rich for being familiar. He wanted to be remembered for being fearless. It didn't matter if he was in pain, exhausted, or dying quietly. Chadwick Boseman never let it show. When Marvel cast him as T'Challa, without even making him audition, something rare had already begun. In 2015, he spent 2 hours in a quiet room with Marvel executives, not reading lines, but reshaping Wakanda. He didn't want a fake fantasy. He wanted a kingdom that felt alive, layered, rooted in real African languages and spirit. He told them the people of Wakanda wouldn't speak made-up words. They'd speak Xhosa. They'd shout Yibambe in real Zulu rhythm. He made it so, and from that moment on, every scene became more than fiction. It became history rewritten on screen. He carried that weight into the training room. 6 months in Atlanta gyms, not just working his muscles but studying Dambe and Capoeira. His body moved like a king, but inside, he turned to ancestral rituals. Before scenes, he prayed. He meditated. He asked his ancestors for strength. That's why when he walked onto a set, he didn't seem like an actor. He seemed like a man sent from somewhere deeper. The fight scenes in Black Panther weren't just choreographed. They felt lived. They looked like truth. Even when his ribs broke during the 2015 airport fight scene in Civil War, he didn't stop. The shirtless shots came right after. He didn't ask for time off. He didn't ask for bandages. He used the pain. He held it inside T'Challa's stare, the one that looked like it had seen centuries. Nobody on set knew the pain was real. They thought he was just good at staying in character. In Infinity War, when the Wakandan army needed a battle cry, the script didn't have one. But Chadwick did. He stepped forward, raised his voice, and shouted, "Yibambe!" The extras roared back, 2,000 strong. Nobody forgot that moment. It wasn't in the script. It was in his blood. And it gave the MCU one of its most unforgettable scenes. Then came the numbers. Black Panther wasn't just a movie. It made $1.3 billion and shook the world. For the first time, a black actor was leading a $1 billion superhero film. But Chadwick didn't take that moment and turn it into a party. He turned it into a gift. He gave $150,000 of his earnings to the Boys and Girls Club in Anderson, South Carolina, helping build futures for kids like the one he used to be. Behind that quiet generosity was a love story almost nobody knew. He met Taylor Simone Ledward in 2015. She had just graduated from Cal Poly Pomona. They met at LAX, not knowing it would be forever. They kept everything secret. No red carpet appearances, no interviews, just late-night jazz, deep respect, and one beach proposal in Malibu with a ring engraved in Yoruba. In late 2019, they married quietly. No one found out until after he was gone. By that time, he was already sick. He'd been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016. Only 39. It started with pain during Marvel's 42 press tour. Tests revealed tumors. He had his first surgery quietly, told only his closest family, then went back to work. He filmed Black Panther while on chemo. On some days, he came straight from dialysis to the set. Castmates thought he was intense, distant, even cold. They didn't know he was fighting for his life between takes. In 2019, it got worse. Stage 4, liver metastases, 4 more surgeries. He lost 20 pounds. He filmed 21 bridges while healing from a colostomy. He smiled in interviews, posed for fans, never let anyone see the war inside his body. In January 2019, during Endgame reshoots, he filmed his resurrection scene. Nobody knew it was his goodbye. Off camera, he whispered, "Wakanda forever" to his co-stars. Quiet, soft, not for the cameras. That was his real farewell. Then, on August 28, 2020, the truth came out. He died at home, beside Taylor and his family. The Instagram post announcing his death shattered the world. He had kept it all hidden for 4 years. He had made Da 5 Bloods, Black Panther, Avengers, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom while dying slowly. When Da 5 Bloods came out just weeks before his death, nobody guessed it would be his last public breath. The tributes came fast. Barack Obama called him a king. Angela Bassett wrote about their sacred bond on set. Viola Davis, Denzel Washington, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Lupita Nyong'o filled the internet with tears. Fans lit candles, artists painted murals, children cried in Wakandan costumes. Around the world, millions felt like they had lost someone they knew. But what came next wasn't all peace. Chadwick had died without a will. The courts had to step in. His estate was worth somewhere between $938,500 and $388 million. Legal fees and taxes took $1.5 million. His wife and parents split the rest. A simple missing document cost his loved ones more than money. It cost time, privacy, and peace. And yet, his legacy kept building. In 2021, he received a posthumous Emmy for voicing T'Challa in What If? His wife Taylor accepted it. His final performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom stunned critics. He had learned to play trumpet while battling exhaustion. He acted through pain so deep that he sometimes needed help standing between takes. But no one watching the film could tell. The power of his performance made it feel like a final message, sent from somewhere beyond pain. Netflix donated $5 million to Howard University, launching the Chadwick Boseman Center for the Arts in 2021. In 2025, he was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Taylor stood beside it, weeping quietly as cameras flashed. He had become more than an actor. He had become a symbol.